So hello and welcome to Sussex Street Christian Centre's KidZone slot. I'm out in the beautiful sunshine today and we're going to be thinking about forgiving. And we all know that God forgives us if we ask him to, but what about when we need to forgive other people? So our story today comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verses 21 to 35. But we're going to listen to the story in a slightly different way. So, over to me. Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, if my brother keeps on sinning against me, how many times do I have to forgive him? 7 times?" Jesus answered, "No, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Because the kingdom of heaven is like this. Once there was a king who decided to check on his servants' accounts. He had just begun to do so when one of them was brought in who owed him millions of pounds. The servant did not have enough to pay his debt, so the king ordered him to be sold as a slave, with his wife and his children and all that he had, in order to pay the debt. The servant fell on his knees before the king. He begged, 'Be patient with me, and I will pay you everything.' The king felt sorry for him, so he forgave him the debt and let him go. Then the man went out and met one of his fellow servants who owed him a few pounds. He grabbed him and started choking him, and he said, 'Pay back what you owe me.' His fellow servant fell down and begged him, 'Be patient with me, and I will pay you back.' But he refused. Instead, he had him thrown in jail until he should pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were very upset and went to the king and told him everything. So he called the servant in. The king said, 'You worthless slave! I forgave you the whole amount that you owed me just because you asked me to. You should have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had mercy on you.' The king was very angry, and he sent his servants to jail to be punished until he should pay back the whole amount. That is how my Father in heaven will treat every one of you unless you forgive your brother from your heart." The parable of the unforgiving servant. Makes you think, doesn't it? What might happen if we don't forgive other people when God has forgiven us so much? So I was trying to think of a craft that would fit in for today. And the one I've come up with is perhaps slightly different. So on the page on our Sussex Street Christian Centre website, you will see a link for how to make an origami paper boat that hopefully will float if you put it in a bowl of water. And then what I want you to do is to think about all the bad things that you've ever done wrong, but like in the story where one person owed millions and millions of pounds, if you can get some coins and think about, well, if it was a 10p coin, that might represent 10 bad things that you've done. If it's a 50p, that might represent 50 bad things. So like in the story, It might be lots and lots of bad things that need to be forgiven. And think about how many of those things it takes to sink that boat. But then what he wants you to do is to imagine that if it was God taking all the bad things from us, the boat would be unsinkable, wouldn't it? It would have to be, because God always forgives us if we ask him to. But thinking about that same boat and when it sinks, I wonder if that could apply to us. How many times are we willing to forgive other people when they do things wrong against us? Is there a limit to how many times we're willing to keep on taking that thing that somebody's done against us? So have some fun with that, but think about how good you are at forgiving other people. And it would be like every time you load some coins onto that boat, that actually it doesn't make any difference, that it will always float because you're always willing to forgive other people. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. Been great to be with you all. Bye for now.